Not, flooding is the deadliest type of severe weather. There's probably a lot about floods and flooding you don't know. When discussing flood, it is important to understand what they are. Now, let's start about the definition of flood. A flood is an overflow of water that submerges land that is usually dry. Floods are an area of study in the discipline of hydrology. They are the most common and widespread natural severe weather event. Floods can look very different because flooding covers anything from a few inches of water to several feet. They can also come on quickly or build gradually. To better answer the question of what is a flood, well, answer what each specific type of flooding event is. Flooding is the most common and often the most destructive type of a natural disaster. Although floods are often associated with overflowing rivers and seaswells, accompanying tropical storms, they can happen in areas far from a body of water. Cities can become flooded during periods of heavy rain. If you live in an area that is prone to flooding, preparing for a flood should be a part of your preparedness. Now, we're going to discuss the before, during, and after flood. Before flood, know your flood risk. Make a flood emergency plan. Build or restock your emergency preparedness kit, including a flashlight, batteries, cash, and first aid supplies. Familiarize yourself with local emergency plan. Know where to go and how to get there if you need to get to a higher ground, the highest level of a building, or to evacuate. Raise furnaces, water heaters, and electrical components above the base flood elevation level. Install a sump pump system to drain water away from your home. Seal basement walls to prevent water seepage. During flood, stay tuned to radio, TV, or the internet for weather updates, emergency instructions, or evacuation orders. If time permits, move furniture and other items to upper floors. Be prepared to turn off utilities if instructed to do so. Be prepared to evacuate if instructed to do so. In the case of flash flooding, do not wait for instructions, move immediately to a higher ground. Do not move through moving water if at all possible. Use a stick to ensure the ground is firm. Do not drive in flooded areas. Vehicles can quickly be swept away. Lastly, avoid downed power lines. After flood, return home only when authorities say it is safe. Clean and disinfect anything that has come in contact with the flood water. Be aware of areas which flood waters have resided and watch out for debris. Flood waters often erode roads and walkways. Do not attempt to drive through areas that are still flooded. Avoid standing water, as it may be electrically charged from underground or downed power lines. Photograph damage to your property for insurance purposes. To be more prepared, keep well-stocked emergency survival kits in the home, at work, and in your cars. And lastly, be prepared and be safe.